Hello and welcome to the Weekend Wrap-Up. I'm Rebecca Brown. Our top story this week: after years of delays and preparations, the Real ID requirement is now in place. We caught up with the Little Rock Airport to see how they're handling the change and what state officials are urging as people rush to get their new ID.
Thousands across Arkansas waiting in line Tuesday to get that golden star on the right-hand corner of their driver's license. It's the last day before Real ID will be a requirement to get into federal buildings and board flights. But Scott Harden with the Department of Revenue says you can still get yours even if you put it off.
It's not the deadline for us. You can come in tomorrow, you can come in a year from now, you can come in 10 years from now and get a Real ID.
But if you do decide you want to get that Real ID, there are a couple things that you'll need to bring with you when you go to the revenue office.
Birth certificate or passport, a couple of bills mailed to your home, and your social security card, and you're walking out with a Real ID.
Marcus Johnson was one of the thousands looking to get a new ID before the deadline. While the lines might look overwhelming, Johnson says it was actually the opposite.
It was quite easy, I waited for about 45 minutes. The line wasn't as long as I thought it was.
Cynthia Thorne also waited until the last day. She too was met with a line out the door, but at the end, she left with a new license.
I rushed down here at the last minute. It took me about an hour and a half to get up to get my license, but it was all right though.
Harden says not having a social security card is the #1 reason why people are being turned away. Another, last names not matching birth certificates.
If your birth certificate is Smith, but your married name is Jones, you have to bring the marriage certificate justifying the name change. Same thing with the divorce name change, bring the divorce decree.
Harden says that if you do have questions, you can go to r.gov/RealID. This is where you can find all the answers about getting a Real ID. But in this case, the more documents, the merrier.
If the question is, should I bring this, the answer is yes.
In Little Rock, Catherine Rowley, THV 11 News.
Thank you, Catherine. And if you haven't gotten a Real ID yet, you can learn more about the needed documents on thv11.com. This week was also Sendai, the official end of the 95th General Assembly. But even on the final day, the debate over building a new prison isn't going away. I found out how the issues remain alive as the general session comes to a close.
10 years from now, we can say, I told you so, but it'll be too late then. We're trying to stop it on the front end.
Concerned voices from Franklin County are growing louder. This week, they are making another push to stop a planned multi-million-dollar prison from being built in their community.
Most of our citizens are usually for jail expansion or prison expansion. That's never been the issue for a lot of us. A lot of us, the issue is the site.
Shannon McChristian is one of many Franklin County residents opposed to the idea. She and others joined State Senator Brian King at the Capitol on Monday.
So I'm going to be asking the governor, and I've already asked the Board of Corrections to divert the $75 million back to the Calico Rock expansion for 525 beds.
The lawmaker continues to argue there's a better way to lock up those who break the law and hopes the governor will reconsider this approach.
It's going to be much more economically better for the taxpayers, be able to address the overcrowding. The second part in the letter is what I've said all along. I mean, we have 8 counties that make up contribute 2 out of 3 inmates to incarceration.
But President Pro Tem Bart Hester disagrees.
Senator King provides lots of options that aren't taken seriously in this legislature.
Senator Hester says the $75 million already allocated for the Franklin County Prison is already in motion.
Ample money to do the architecture, engineering, hopefully some dirt work plans, and really give the legislature a firm number on what this prison looks like. I think with that firm number, we'll have the appropriation to continue on.
Both sides remain firm in their positions on whether a prison should be built in Franklin County.
Well, here's what we know. We have to build a prison. We bought a huge property, and if we got to move it to one side or the other, or back or forward or central, we're going to do that.
With this site location, it doesn't serve the taxpayers, it doesn't serve anybody in Arkansas, and we need to move the needle back to something more economically.
I also sat down with Governor Sanders last month and asked her about the plan and pushback. She says she still thinks the project is the right idea and the Franklin County location is the best place to build it. You can find that full interview right now on THV11.com. In other news, the rules of the road say you need to be able to read and understand the signs on the road. And a new law is set to mandate that for truck drivers. Maya Ellison found out that in a state with a big trucking industry, the new changes to the law could have big consequences.
The English language proficiency requirement has been a part of that since the 1930s.
Arkansas Trucking Association President Shannon Newton tells me the regulation has long been set under the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. The issue is, it wasn't really enforced.
And so there are actually some Mexican CDLs that we had learned had been acquired fraudulently and were being presented.
That's when Newton and state legislators gathered to create House Bill 1745.
We could codify the federal regulation, which would allow both state police and local law enforcement to write citations for being not proficient in the English language.
Before this bill, only highway police could enforce the standard. Now, all law enforcement agencies have the authority to hold drivers accountable.
There's 100 or so different things that they look at these weigh stations. If it's deemed that a driver, he or she, may not be understanding them well, or something in that exchange gives them the indication they're not understanding, conversing well in English.
And while it adds more on the plate of law enforcement, one truck driver I spoke to says it's well worth it.
I like it because there's some people that don't speak our language, cannot read the signs. And if they're going into a place that's dangerous and they're carrying any kind of hazmat or hazmatic material, that's endangering themselves and the public.
Along with English proficiency, certain commercial driver license holders must possess a U.S. work authorization to operate a commercial motor vehicle in the state. Not meeting that criteria comes with a cost.
A fine. That was a $500 fine for the first offense and a $1,000 fine for any subsequent offense after that.
But the ATA says this new Arkansas bill adds to an executive order signed by President Donald Trump last month.
That announcement by President Trump actually was the solution that kind of alleviated the concerns that we had brought, which is a big win for safety, for driver advocates, and for the advancement of this policy.
For THV 11 News, I'm Maya Ellison.
Thank you, Maya. Those out of service violations are set to go into effect nationwide June 25th. And here in the natural state, House Bill 1745 is now Act 604 and goes into effect in early August.
Sexual assault will not go away overnight. So let me ask you this, why should the funding?
That question now top of mind for survivors across the state who are facing a major hurdle. The possible loss of millions in funding aimed at ending sexual violence and human trafficking.
And if there's no safe place for us to go, then what do we do? Where do we go? Where will victims get to be victims?
It's a threat that has local groups like ACASA sounding the alarm.
On February 6, 2025, all open notices of funding opportunities were withdrawn from the OVW website and have not reappeared since.
Executive Director Monty Ballard says that's why they are calling on the Department of Justice to consider the serious impact this could have on vital resources here in Arkansas.
That includes the closure of domestic violence shelters, rape crisis centers, child advocacy centers, and the loss of many other services throughout the victim justice field.
The organization isn't alone in feeling the pressure. Saline County Sheriff Rodney Wright says the cuts could also impact law enforcement.
Just last year, we did 488 orders of protections, and that was the ones that were granted. Those go on to go into our investigations, and just imagine if the funding wasn't there, what it would do to a community that didn't have that.
But for Jennifer Frazier, who survived both sexual assault and human trafficking, the uncertainty hits closer to home.
Like I said in there, like for them to put another price tag on somebody's life, that really hurts my heart.
Frazier says being part of a program that supports survivors like herself changed her life.
I'm stronger than I ever was. Never in a million years I think I'd be sitting here doing this.
These cuts are all a part of efforts of Trump administration to defund DEI programs throughout the federal government. The group say the funding cutoff is set for October 1st unless something changes in Washington. It's been sitting unused for years, but a rural Arkansas building could soon return as a local resource. What a new federal bill could do for Perry County coming up. But first, let's see what's driving you crazy.
Going back to the basics, it's a refresher on one of the most commonly misunderstood rules of the road. Who has the right of way when turning at a light? Well, we turn to Arkansas State Police Captain Brad Land to help clear up the confusion.
The one turning left always has to yield.
Arkansas State Police Captain Brad Land says that simple rule is at the center of most intersection confusion. Even when drivers think they're in the clear, failing to yield on a left turn can quickly lead to a crash. He adds that many drivers make another mistake during turns, choosing the wrong lane.
If you're turning right and say it's a multi-lane highway, you turn right into the closest lane to you. If you're turning left, again, you turn left into the closest lane to you. So if you're making a left turn, you will not turn left into the right lane. And that gets a lot of people confused. That happens a lot.
Turning into the wrong lane could not only lead to a ticket for improper turning, but also a dangerous collision with the driver turning from the opposite direction. Another common scenario that trips people up, well, navigating green arrows versus red lights.
If you do have the green arrow, then you have the right of way. If you come up to a red light and a car from the opposite direction has the green arrow, they obviously have the right of way. You can still turn right on red, but you'd have to come to a complete stop and make sure it's clear to turn.
If you're unsure about any of these rules, Captain Land says it's never a bad idea to study up.
An easy way to go back and remember the rules of the road is you can go to the State Police website, go to our driver's license section, and you can go through our study guide. It's divided into chapters throughout the book, and you can study different sections if you want, if you're not up to speed.
So before your next left turn or right, make sure you know who's supposed to go where. It's a simple way to keep everyone on the road a little safer. In Little Rock, Journey Taylor, THV 11 News.
A rural Arkansas building has sat unused for several years, but thanks to action in D.C., that may not be the case much longer. Carter 3 talks with Congressman French Hill on what could happen in Perry County.
For the past decade, I've tried to help local Perry County officials acquire this building from the Forest Service, and it just seems to be an impossible task.
The building in question is this one in Perryville, Arkansas. It used to be a headquarters for the Ouachita National Forest, but hasn't been used for that purpose in years, according to Perry County Chamber of Commerce President Donnie Crane.
Currently, it's not being used, and so we'd love to have it used in a way that benefits the community and continues that going forward.
That process began Monday when Representative Hill filed House Bill 3187 to give this building to Perry County for them to use. Hill says he's glad that this could wrap up a decade-long saga, although he wishes it hadn't taken this long.
But it shouldn't be this tough. This is just one of those stories where you can't believe sometimes how challenging the bureaucracy actually is.
If this bill is successful, the building will house Perry County conservation efforts, as well as University of Arkansas extension programs and meetings for the local 4-H club. Crane says it's something the whole county can be excited about.
It'll be great for our youth, it'll be great for our farmers, and it'll just be great for the community to have this as a resource going forward.
Hill's office did say the building will require some repairs and updates, but Perry County will gladly make them.
When you have an asset that's not used by the federal or state government, one of the best things we can do is take that burden off their shoulders, off their balance sheet. Let's let it be put into productive use to benefit society.
In Perry County, Carter Thweet, THV 11 News.
Thank you, Carter. The bill will still have to go through all the usual checkpoints before anything is official. Representative Hill says he had conversations with other Arkansas lawmakers about hopefully getting it through quickly. Well, getting married is obviously an exciting thing for couples, but it can also put you in debt if you aren't careful. Costs are rising fast, with the average tab for tying the knot coming to $36,000 according to Zola.com. At those prices, some couples are choosing much smaller and more intimate ceremonies. Brooke Buckner shows us how this shift is impacting businesses in the industry.
What are you most looking forward to with the whole wedding?
The venue, the dress, the ceremony, each play a crucial role in helping someone plan their dream wedding. But budgeting for the big day can quickly bring people back to reality.
I definitely did not realize how expensive weddings could get. I mean, I've heard brides talk about it, but I mean, I did not know until I started planning it myself.
Bride-to-be Destiny Brown describes her wedding planning experience as eye-opening. It didn't take long before she and her fiancé realized their original budget wouldn't cover everything they wanted.
It was originally set for like $3,000 to $4,000, and we've already exceeded that. So now we've had to up the budget, but still trying to make it as affordable as possible, even with the economy today.
The average cost of a wedding in Arkansas is around $26,000. It's double that in some states, according to wedding planning website Zola.com. Industry experts say inflation is the biggest culprit when it comes to those high costs. To combat that, Brown is scaling back and looking at every option to cut costs.
I think our total guest list is about 50 people, and we're having a weekday wedding to keep things more cost efficient.
Keeping things cost efficient also means no reception.
Food's expensive, catering's expensive. We're not hiring a wedding planner. We're planning everything ourselves. I mean, cutting costs literally at every place that we can, while still making it the perfect day for us.
I think with the stress of weddings, a lot of times these brides just don't seem happy.
It's a process Tiffany Skaggs and Sarah Gilbert are familiar with, and it's not good for their businesses.
When it comes to, do I feed my guest or do I have this extra help, unfortunately, I get cut.
Gilbert plans and coordinates weddings for couples in Central Arkansas. She says she's seeing a big shift right now with smaller scale weddings.
I had 2 brides cancel on me this year that were for later in the year. In the coordinating planning industry, it is something that gets cut. Probably one of the first things that gets cut.
We're going to be setting up for tomorrow's wedding. They're coming today at 3, so we got to do this.
Skaggs finds herself in a similar situation when it comes to bookings at her venue, Stonebrook Meadows.
In the past, we didn't have that many cancellations. This year, I have had more cancellations than probably any other year, and most of them are choosing to elope.
She knows weddings are expensive. It's why she tries to accommodate for couples as much as she can.
The hard thing about weddings today is that social media has made brides even more want to have this big elaborate wedding, but then with the cost of everything, it's kind of like those memes that you see, like Instagram versus reality.
One of the ways she's helping couples make a decision is offering in-house decor.
Items that help them have that beautiful wedding that they've always dreamed of without having to buy every little thing.
Another money-saving option, making things yourself.
A big thing is the DIY decor, DIY floral, and I'm all for helping a bride with that.
But the time and stress might not be worth it for some.
I do hate to see a bride so stressed out over trying to do everything herself, which is where a planner or coordinator comes into play and can be totally, valuable to you.
While navigating the shifts isn't always easy for Gilbert and Skaggs, they say their jobs are still rewarding, and they hope to continue helping make the reality of wedding day closer to the one in people's dreams.
Life's hard, but when everyone gets to come together and celebrate something good that's going on, that's a blessing, and we're really blessed to be in the business of celebrating love.
Brooke Buckner, THV 11 News.
Thank you, Brooke. Another thing to keep in mind if you are planning a wedding, tariffs could also impact the effect of the costs as well. According to the Knot.com, vendors who rely on imported materials are facing cost increases. A push present for new moms, how a new UAMS initiative aims to help moms postpartum after the break. We want to wrap things up with our continuing coverage on the maternal health crisis here in Arkansas. Our state has one of the highest maternal mortality rates in the nation, but doctors and lawmakers in Arkansas are trying new things to create better outcomes for families. Here's Taylor Knight.
I want moms and families in our state to know we've got their back. We want to help them.
As a largely rural state, Arkansas faces gaps in healthcare access. Some parts of the state have medical resources, others do not. But one thing that remains universal, the need for quality maternal health care for all Arkansans.
It makes my heart so sad that we're number 50th, but it has brought some much needed attention to this.
To address that need, the UAMS Hospital in Little Rock has begun distributing mother and infant supply kits to new moms.
You know, it's things in there that you probably didn't have on your registry. So it's things that'll help. They also give it to you when you're in the hospital, so you're not just out here cold without it. And then you can take it home.
The idea behind the project is a 3-tier approach. First, standardizing education for new moms.
Early maternal warning signs, like what do they need to take seriously and go to a doctor about, but also infants' health.
Second, the I Gave Birth bracelets.
My nurse, when I came onto the floor, she gave me a great explanation. She was like, I'm at the store, I'm by myself, and say I fall out or something. Nobody knows what's wrong with me, but if I have the bracelet on, they know that I just gave birth, so they know who to contact, what to do.
And third, a proactive call center set to launch in May.
We will proactively call all of our delivering moms in our state, go through some kind of healthcare questionnaires and also some social determinants of health, determine if there's any needs.
The program officially launched at UAMS last month. The goal is to expand kit distributions to all 33 hospitals with labor and delivery units across Arkansas by the end of summer. For THV 11, I'm Tamer Knight.
Thank you, Tamer. And that's it for the weekend wrap up. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week right here on THV 11 Plus.